Cancer, welcome back. Let's have a look at your July forecast and what I see coming through for your zodiac sign. Are we ready to unpack your zodiac sign? Number one, the way we set this up is really diving into the 5 key themes that can be coming through this month to be aware of, how they are directly impacting you, and then into your romance, your career, your wealth, your health zone, and any tips I have in these areas, but especially how the overall energy will come up with these particular transits involved. Number one is we do have a full moon in Capricorn on the 3rd of July. The next moon we have is a new moon in Cancer on the 17th of July. Venus sitting in the house of Leo will be in its shadow this month. So be prepared for crosswires, misunderstandings, and reevaluations, as well as blasts from the past. It moves retrograde on the 23rd, and I'll tell you how long it'll stay there for and how to navigate it. And North Node ends in the house of Taurus and Scorpio and shifts into the sign of Aries and Libra. Very juicy energy, very interesting. I do believe the last time it was reversed on one of the occasions I reviewed, happened to stumble across it, was 1861. So look back to that time. And Chiron also will move into its retrograde the same day as Venus moves retrograde. So how is this going to affect you? First call, we are going to look at the full moon in Capricorn. That is occurring on the 3rd of July, 2023. Now, also, this is going to be sort of like a double whammy. A is because Pluto is retrograde. So it can be like long lost treasure, reviewing old things. Again, you being a moon sign, it can be you versus other people, how other people feel, coming to terms with the past, coming to terms with feelings and relationships, and really a new chapter happening in your 7th house. So this can link to marriages, contracts, partnerships. Separately, with Pluto in the mix, I would say really leading up to it, there can be some sense of conflict. There can be power plays and structures and restructuring. Venus and shadow, this can add to the situation. Some of you could also be really replacing some goods for the home. This can be some Venusian things. So you could be looking at your budget. You might be looking at your finances. You could be paying off a debt. You could look at a connection, one that was working. This could be with family members. It could be with siblings, with love, and also in your career zone as well, where it does come to contracts and your friendship groups. I do see this to be a very interesting time. I would try to be patient around this time. And also, if you're having to make any sudden decisions, really navigating them later. This can be a heightened time of the month where it can be quite intense, especially because the nodes will be shifting. Now, as we move towards the new moon, I don't know if you noticed, especially for those of you that are more privy to astrology, last month we had a new moon in Gemini. Now, it did initially cause some unsettledness among my fellow Patreons because we all noticed that it was actually bouncing between 2 signs. It did move into the new moon in Cancer and then very quickly shift into the house of Gemini. So for this, it is a revisit. This is your first house placement. It is very personal. Emotions can be reviewed at this time and you can have some deeper understanding of yourself. This can also, at a personal level, be a new way that you relate to circumstances in your life and your feelings and really honoring them. This can be a great time to unwind, a great time to nurture yourself. But yes, there is a potential of anxiousness with these new beginnings and what it's going to mean for you. Venus, as it enters the month, we will be in the shadow phase. So this connects to your 2nd house. Now, 2nd house can be a few things. Number one, it can be your net worth, your professional resources. You can hear from a lot of people of the past during this time. You can be reviewing your wealth. What your physical assets are, be it its land, material values. It can be, again, professional resources. This could be superiors, individuals you know, networking, and really looking back on, is the value there? How are you managing your money? How do you feel about these circumstances? Within relationships, are you confident? Are you articulating yourself? Do you feel good in your skin? I would also say emotions relating to wellness and confidence also can come up again, but I do see a lot of communication. Although it's not your third house, Mars will be moving there. Initially, it's coming from the confidence factor, from the growth. Some of you are really reviewing those things, what you like, what you dislike. And then as you do move further into the month, you're going to be looking at the detail. There is a risk of criticalness, both towards ourselves and other people, especially if we feel misunderstood. Sometimes it's healthy to step back from the fire and actually assess, what is the reality of the circumstance? What am I looking at? This can be a good month to actually care for your health as well. So think on that one. Now, what can we do during Venus retrograde, which I will go further into within your relationship sector? It's a good time of dealing with the past. It's a good time of dealing with these circumstances, reviewing our value systems, seeing how we see ourselves. Sometimes it is the buck worth the grind. Can be to do with, again, Venus, Leo, can be children, can be money, alimony payments. This can also be confidence, net worth, creativity, what we spend our money on in the day to day, because it is linking to your second house, also your seventh house. I do think there's going to be reworking, especially in love. And yes, with both Pluto retrograde, the full moon in Pluto, and then Venus retrograde and the new moon in Cancer, a lot to do with connections for you this month, Cancer. Now, Mars, as it does move out of the house of Leo and into the house of Virgo, you will have a more analytical mind. Now, it can be critical. It can be very detail-oriented. It can be very quick-witted, but we can seek perfection. If you were wanting to get into any health kicks, you may be emotional, very strict on yourself. Try to keep that in awareness, but there's going to be a lot of attention. I do particularly feel there's going to be a lot of conversations. You could be creating boundaries with individuals that you feel are taking you for a ride. I very separately feel that you also do need to look after yourself for burnout. Usually it gives you energy in this area. But I definitely feel having candid conversations in an assertive way and looking at details with realism without personalizing it may be the key to this. But thinking first, then reacting, not reacting, then thinking may be key. You're really going to want evidence this month. Now, Chiron moving retrograde is kind of a good thing. It can make us a bit more run down. So we may need to, again, be more cautious with our health. I'd also say, because we are having the North Node moving into Aries, this can all be around, for instance, you can feel like you're having an identity crisis. It's like, what's my purpose? What direction am I going? What am I doing in my career? What part in this do I have? Am I equipped for it? What am I actually moving towards? What am I attracting into my life? And with the North Node shifting into Aries, which initially it can be an awkward bit until we have Chiron catch up, we may feel a little bit out of our depth. Once it does shift into that domain, we're really going to be quite focused on this. This can be, what are you wanting to be? Who are you becoming? How do people see you in your career? Also, regardless of how people see you, where are you going with this direction? Do you have the confidence and closure in these areas, being your purpose in life? Sometimes we can stumble into, the most powerful roles without intentionally attracting it. And it is for a given reason. And sometimes we may lack that confidence that that's what is for us, but it's almost like you were born to be. So the confidence in this department, and the growth, this can also be expansion, busyness, direction. Definitely see big changes happening there. Now, the South Node, interestingly enough, and I was really dreading this. I'm like, oh my God. So Venus is going retrograde and the South Node is jumping into Libra, which is a Venus sign, and Jupiter's in Taurus. I mean, it literally feels like we've got planets going direct, we've got planets going retrograde. This goes to the back burner because it's where we're comfortable. So from a Venus point of view, this can be family, home, location. Some of you could be working away. You also can have some subjects to do with the past and home being transformed. You may be moving towards career so you can buy a home. Whatever your goal is in the mix of this, wherever this comfortable area of Libra is, because apparently it's comfortable, in order to properly transform it, we need to go towards our personal power of the North Node being, what is your purpose? What do you feel your purpose is separately? And it's very personal because it's first house, but Chiron is going to aid us in meditating upon that. Let's take a look at your romance house and what I see for your star sign. Look, I honestly do feel lots of reminiscing. You guys are one of the nostalgic signs, although you are very, very realistic. Many of you, I would say, back from, oh gosh, 2019, maybe beyond, you're a very different vibration to who you used to be. There was a lot of sacrificial energy. It was more than likely because of the position of Pluto, the role that you felt you had to be. I feel that you guys are very wise now where it does come to placing other people first. The people that you love, you will place first. But you also do feel that there are some boundaries that need to be made. It can't be to the detriment to your health. You could be making major decisions at the moment that are for other people, and you may be getting some inkling of frustration, or are we on the same page? I do feel for you at a personal level, this is a new chapter. Now, there is a possibility if you are in an extremely toxic relationship, tension points can rise. The other can be the status quo of a current relationship, be it you directly living with each other, negotiating in and out. Again, the same point can come about, but a change is happening. Navigating this can be a little bit difficult, but it will be for the betterment, because overall, whatever decision is made and whatever outcome comes, it's going to give you a new chapter. You're going to know where you are and what you want. There's a lot of identity inside this and confidence that something needs to be reworked here. I do particularly feel there is a chapter coming in. It's almost like the pause button's being required so that you can decide, what these actual goals are. Are you on the same path? I do feel for some of you, definitely, as I mentioned, this can be blasts from the past coming back. And some of these people can be individuals you really cared about. Some of these people can be individuals you never care to see again. And we're going to get both. Okay, be it you're coupled or single, it is a Venus retrograde and Pluto is there. Some secrets also can come out, some subconscious thoughts also can come out, and this can come from both the partner or yourself. I do feel suddenly something has stopped so it can move forward. But again, I do feel your social experiences and more responsibilities on your plate. But some of you are deciding, hey, is this better? I do feel your social networking, your fun, your play. People can really be turning to you for guidance, for instruction. There can also be a massive project that you're wanting to undertake, and you can be looking at it like, okay, are we both on the same page? Now, this also is not a good time to start a new relationship. It doesn't mean you can't. It means go into it with a, how would I put it? It's a little bit like a trial and error. What's working? Do we resonate with each other? Let's see how it goes. Without the pressure on it. And I think if you can do such, that's going to work a lot better. Those of you who are single, there are very, very heavy possibilities of people from the past coming back and a lot of healing. There are possibilities of reconciliations. Those of you in an extremely toxic relationship, there is a huge potential of breakups, I'll just say. But most of you, if that is occurring, you're very happy and relieved for that factor. So let's have a look at your career. Navigating Venus retrograde, I will guide you month by month. We do have an additional bonus, which is via a YouTube membership, which I will be checking in with those individuals daily to help them navigate through their Venus house to get the best out of it. Now, nothing will ever happen to us. Being aware of it, the one tip I would give you in love at this point in time, regardless of the status quo, is be open. Have the confidence to know that new chapters can come. Different ways that we do relate to each other can provide us with a different outcome. Things are happening for us, not to us. But overall, this can be a beautiful time to reassess our likes and dislikes. Now, your career zone also has an enhancement. Many of you can be taking on a deeper role. There also could be individuals at work that are leaving, and some of you could be giving your career zone an absolute facelift. I do particularly feel if you are looking to the past, I do feel there can be a lot of offers coming towards you unannounced. Definitely, I see a lot of people coming back into your world, but I also see you looking at old ways of doing things if they are better than the current status quo. Now, if you were wanting to make some changes, I do directly see there could be a slight pause, but overall, this new chapter, I do feel it can occur this month for many of you, even though we are going into a Venus retrograde. I also feel where it does come to that wealth energy, which I'll talk about in a moment. There also could be increases in pay. Some of that can be delayed. Some of it is what you're working towards. But I definitely feel there's a potential there. Some of you can be making these decisions based on maybe a goal you have. But I do see potentials of individuals in workplaces leaving during this time. Now, as to the wealth zone, I do feel if you are doing a budget, this is really going to help, especially during Venus retrograde, really linking to your second house. I also feel some of you could want some Venusian things, and that can be TVs, white goods, wanting to decorate the home, wanting to actually build. Some of you also can be pouring that directly into a savings plan, and this can be for a project, for love. I also feel really reviewing what you're spending your money on during the Venus retrograde. It also can be those trivial things, the food, the things that we're getting on the run, the extra coffee on the way home, wherever it lands. It does also feel that, really boosting up your security, be it it's your own personal security, to protect yourself, or it's directly your home environment, because during Venus retrograde, there is a possibility of people trying to pinch your goods. So really keeping an eye on that, especially because initially Mars is sitting there until it transitions over to the third house. I would also say car repairs, changes, driving cautiously, bills associated to gasoline, fuel, depending on where you are in the world who is listening to such. We can also be trying to work out new ways to budget, deal with the budget moving forward. And I particularly feel, especially because both moons really take me back to 2020, there can be something we're looking back to in a sense of going, good gosh, we hope this isn't happening again. But I think a lot of people have really turned a leaf over and realized we can't just be codependent on one direct situation. And so it has really forced us to look outside the box, be it it's us taking two jobs, or it's us looking at different ways we can generate incomes. I think you're going to be quite savvy with that. Please don't lose the confidence in that. I do think you will have the benefits for it. There is also the temptation at the moment is to work extremely hard. Now, the health area for you, the wellness zone. Last month when we did have the new moon in Gemini, you might have felt up in your head quite a bit. Some of you could have experienced headaches, fatigue, fogginess, but this is a new chapter. Some of you could have had a lot of creative ideas. Now, also, I would say, your social experiences and your responsibilities that are on your shoulder are going to be quite large this year. It is because Jupiter is in your 11th house, but some of you are willing to move mountains in order to achieve this. I do feel you're going to be attracting a lot more friends in. Some individuals from the past are going to come back, and you may be revisiting that and seeing if it directly resonates with you. I do particularly feel, especially for those of you that are feminine, it's a good time to look after your base chakra, your ovaries, especially if you feel anything this month is off. I would highly advise to go get professional advice, depending on whatever is going on. With Pluto, it's almost like it can show something that's hidden. So if you are having an intuition download that you feel something's off, it's best just to get it checked, especially because Venus can be our ovaries or, the base chakra, fertility, also all of those areas. It's about really caring for your body, trusting your instincts, and then going and talking to a professional if you feel something is off. I do feel there is a potential of frustration as Mars moves into Virgo. So be cautious with your communication, no rushing with your driving, and also be cautious with your wellness and looking after your body so it's not getting worn out. With Chiron going retrograde and with Venus retrograde, plus Mars moving into that location, it is to do with your wellness. So being aware of your body, its limitations, and following through if you need more assistance. Love and light. We'll see you next month. If you do want to join us online at YILDIZ Readings 5D, we do have the Mind Body Soul Hub that I'm launching. I've opened it so that we can trial it out, typical Venus retrograde style, to really support you guys through the transit. If you do want to join, all information is below. And if you are wanting a private booking, again, the information is below. Take care, and I'll see you next month.